We just got that. We got that look today. We got that look on our face today. Like this is going to be a classic show.
Well, that was certainly a game.
That was a basketball game that we just watched. Of course, man.
Yep, that was definitely a game that happened today. Celtics lose 96-88 to the San Antonio Spurs. Deante Murray absolutely owned us in the fourth quarter as he dropped 29. He had 11 rebounds, 6 assists. Before I go on a rant, Seamus, do you have a rant you'd like to go on?
Not a rant necessarily, because we're still 20 games into the season, and I want to take a more moderate approach with this. I think.
All right, cool. Before I take, hang on, I'll be right back. Just give me 1 second. But yeah, just you can start. Sorry.
No, before. There we go. We got center stage here. This game was due for the Celtics. The Celtics really didn't have a terrible loss in the last couple of weeks, outside of maybe, obviously, the Brooklyn game. Obviously, the Brooklyn game on Wednesday night, but Brooklyn is who Brooklyn is. Kevin Durant, James Harden, not getting too upset over that one. Then the Atlanta game, that was pretty upsetting, but it wasn't as bad as tonight's performance. I'm not going to go ahead and, write off the Celtics and say, okay, we're just going to be a play-in team and we're going to suck and whatever. But this was an unacceptable performance tonight by every sense of the word, because you go down 24 early. You go down, they went down 16 after the first quarter. It expanded to 24 in the second quarter. They cut 8 off the lead in the third quarter, took the lead in the fourth quarter, only to give up a 15-0 run to end the game, and you get destroyed by Deante Murray, who, he looked like a superstar out there. How do you make Deante Murray look like a superstar on offense? And give a lot of credit to the Spurs team. I said this coming in. They're not going to allow us a win. They're going to come and play tonight. They get up and play for Greg Popovich. You look at their top 3 rebounders tonight, and these numbers, it doesn't matter how you put it. This cannot happen. Kelden Johnson, 14 rebounds tonight. Jakob Poeltl, 12 rebounds tonight. And then going down to Dejounte Murray, 11 rebounds tonight, along with 29 points and 6 assists. That is absolutely unacceptable, especially when coming into the game, it should have been a key to the game. Protect the paint, get rebounds, crash the glass, especially after what we saw against the Nets the other night. It had to be a point of emphasis that the Celtics hone in on that part of the game, and they didn't at all. They were the less aggressive team. They were the less prepared team. I would say for a grand majority of the game, I'm a little glad about the comeback. I would say that's the silver lining of this game, that we did come back in this game. Last year's team would have rolled over, but this performance cannot happen out of the Celtics at all. You cannot play this way against a team that is now 4-13 and gave you so many opportunities to not only come back into the game, but to even win the game. And we have a lot more to say about this, but that is just my general overall sense of this. Not the end-all, be-all to the season, but completely disappointing and completely upsetting considering where the team's been trending lately.
All right, so I promised the viewers in my live stream that I had something to say, and I really do. And, we've seen this before from Celtics teams, so it's not something we should be surprised about, but it's still something important. Why the hell does this team have such a problem closing out games? This is at least the 4th time in the last 2 weeks where the Celtics have had a chance to close out a game. They have the lead late in the fourth quarter, and they just completely shit the bed. Excuse my language, but how do you allow a 15-0 run and do nothing? You did absolutely nothing on offense in the fourth quarter once you took the lead. You had, a 5-point lead at one point, right? I don't understand how they just completely forget how to play basketball when they have a lead late in the fourth quarter. Granted, all credit in the world to Deante Murray. He looked like an absolute superstar out there tonight. He was really, really good tonight. But I just don't understand the mindset of this team sometimes. You're down 24 in the first half. You come out looking absolutely god awful. Like, you look like a first grade team playing against a legit NBA team. Like, your start was awful. You were shooting like what, 4 of 25 at one point? Like, I mean, Jesus. And I mean, at the same time, like, everyone couldn't hit a shot to save their lives. You know, you chip away at the lead the entire game. You know, you're shooting yourselves in the foot constantly. Anytime you had a run in the second and third quarter, you would commit a bunch of fouls and you would end up, back where you started. You come down at the end of the fourth quarter. Jason Tatum goes on a run. Grant Williams goes on a run. I mean, you look like you're going to win this game easily. And then you just allow a 15-0 run with, 5 minutes left? It was just absolutely mind-boggling how bad this team is down the stretch. I'm just shocked by how bad they are down the stretch. I don't know. I just don't know how to explain it. I really don't.
Yeah, and somehow the team found out how to incorporate every bad way of losing that they know into tonight's game. I'm starting to think we're some team like the Minnesota Vikings, where we're just going to play down to our opponent or play up to our opponent every single game and let the end of the game decide everything. But tonight, I mean, you added in the two main things that the Celtics have been plagued by all season. Maybe not the two main things, but certainly two trends that the Celtics have been plagued by, even dating back to last season. Number one, you got off to a terrible start. The Celtics got off to a terrible start. They were down 30-14 after the first quarter, and they would have had 9 points if it weren't for Jabari Parker hitting a three and also going to the free throw line, I believe, at the end of the first quarter. I believe that was in the last minute of the first quarter. So you would have had 9 points if that wasn't the case. It wasn't for Jabari Parker, who seems to save the Celtics in these situations all the time. And then you look at the end of the game when the team was able to come back. They had, like you said, a 5-6 point lead at one point. It seemed like this was going to be a game in a post-game session where we came in here and said, okay, well, they didn't look too great, but a win is a win. That being said, they didn't pull out the fucking game. Sorry for my language, but they didn't pull out the game. They somehow gave up a 15-0 run at the end of the fourth quarter to lose the game by 8. So they had a 7-point lead, didn't score, lost the game by 8. How? How do you do this against the Spurs team? Like, I saw how it happened, and the Spurs played harder than us. They held the momentum. They played more aggressive down the stretch. Celtics turned the ball over way too many times, sent the Spurs to the free throw line too many times. They were in the bonus for most of the fourth. I don't really understand how this happens, because this is a talented Celtics basketball team, and I don't care if there's no Josh Richardson or Robert Williams. This should be a game that you win, especially after the Nets game, where you got completely smacked on your home floor by a team you're trying to compete with in the Eastern Conference. I'm not saying this is the end of the season, and I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer in that way, and I don't want to be one of those fans that just switch up every game. But this is very disappointing. It's just, call it how it is. This is a game the Celtics should win down in San Antonio, and they didn't come out. They came out. They didn't execute. They didn't get after it defensively early. It came later in the game, which their offense, looking on that end, never came ever in the entire game. They scored 88 points. And then you lose after just an atrocious stretch to end the game. You really couldn't have ended the game any worse, especially at the end there. I thought it was just cherry on top. It was Deante Murray who went to the free throw line. He missed the second or missed the first or whatever it was. Derek White gets the rebound, goes to the free throw line again. It's like, that is just the theme. That was the theme at the end of this game, is just giving the Spurs extra opportunities, giving the Spurs more chances to pile it on. And this was a disappointing loss. I can't put it any other way. This was disappointing from start to end, just how the game progressed.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And, it felt like one of those games where, like you said before, we were going to say, oh, they played really bad, but a win is a win. And, we thought that's how it was going to go tonight. And I don't know, man. And, like, I'm not switching up on the Celtics. I'm never going to switch up on the Celtics. But, Rob has said this constantly throughout the season. We're at the 20 game mark. We're 10-10 and we still know nothing about this team. I don't know. Like I don't know if I mean I'll see if I can get Rob on the phone and maybe he can shed some light on his opinion on this team right now. But like, man, we've been talking about this 20 game mark the entire season. We thought we were finally going to get an answer to what this team was going to be. And the only things that I've noticed is we're going to be a defensive first team. We're not going to score a lot of points on most nights, and if we have a chance to lose it in the end of the fourth quarter, we're going to lose it. And I don't know, that's the only thing that I can somewhat take away right now. And the other thing is we can't stay healthy. So,
Yeah, the health is still the biggest part because tonight Josh Richardson and Robert Williams, without them, they should win this game. But I think no doubt in my mind, they coming into this game, if they played tonight, we probably have a chance to pull it out. That being said, we still would have probably looked as horrible as we did because I don't think Josh Richardson and Robert Williams coming in and playing would have affected anything offensively for the Celtics tonight, especially looking at the first quarter. They were playing street ball, okay? For most of the first half, it looked like they were playing street ball out there. Isolation was rampant. Now, I did like the adjustments that Ime Udoka made in the second half. Still weren't great. They still weren't converting. They weren't converting at the rim. They weren't hitting shots, and that's obviously been a huge thing with the Celtics as of late. They haven't been hitting shots, but the ball was moving more in the second half. That's a positive. We have to come out and start the game in that manner. You cannot come out and be flat early on and dig yourself a hole like this because if you take the second half, and I know we finished the game terribly, but I mean, come on, we came back from 24 points down. Imagine if we didn't put ourselves in that hole in the first place. We could have easily won this game despite how terrible we played. But you just have to start these games early, and this is a game really. I look at it too, just to add on to the end here. We probably get smacked by 26 other teams tonight terribly to the point where you're not coming back. We only make this 24-point comeback against the Spurs, probably the Rockets, maybe the Thunder. We saw them last Saturday, and they almost came back against us. And then you probably throw the Pelicans, Pistons in there as well. And I'm not going to say the Magic because they played a couple of fairly competitive games against us this year. So it's like this. Tonight is just frustrating. Like it's going to get better. We're going to build the blocks again, but it's frustrating.
yep.
We got Rob here as well. Here we go.
All right, hang on. We got Rob Haytan on the phone. Rob, what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna keep it short. Really bad game. Really, really bad game. We'll talk about it on the podcast. It'll come out Monday. But shitty game. Just overall bad. I mean, and we're right. I mean, we're 20 games in, 10-10.
Yep.
Not looking too good.
All right.
I don't got much more to say. This team doesn't get much more.
All right. See you, Rob.
That was really short, Rob.
Yeah, he didn't have much to say, but
he said it all. He didn't have much
Basically.
to say, but he said it all. Because
we'll see if we can get Justin and see what he has to say because, I have a feeling he has a lot to say and, we still got to record a podcast episode, so we're not going to give away everything. We'll see if Justin has anything to say. But back to the Celtics, Seamus. So who do we play next? We play...
At least we're not going to be the worst loss in the NBA tonight, folks. Pelicans are about to beat the Jazz, barring some crazy last-second shot here. But, yeah, go ahead, Ian. Sorry.
All right. Well, that's always good. So, I mean, I really don't know where we go from here from the Celtics, but we do play the Raptors on Sunday at 6 o'clock. Seamus, what do we have to do against the Raptors to pull out a win here?
Well, at this rate, I'm very worried for this Raptors game, especially because it's on the road now. Robert Williams, if he is back in the lineup, that'll give me some optimism heading into that game. That being said, if Robert Williams continues to be out for this game, Josh Richardson is out for this game, and say Jaylen Brown takes this game off because we proved the broadcast proved us right. He grabbed at that hamstring multiple times tonight, especially when he fell on a fast break, and you could clearly see it on the broadcast, him wincing and grabbing his hamstring. So if he takes a game off, I'm very worried about this Raptors game now because we've seen 2 games in a row now the Celtics be completely out-battled by their opponent in the paint and going towards the paint, giving up way too many opportunities in the paint. When you're giving up so many opportunities going towards the rim, it's just going to open up the floor for other teams' offenses. And that's kind of what we saw down the stretch and at the beginning of this game tonight. Spurs struggled, obviously, throughout the night because they don't have that many offensive creators, especially not off the bench. We didn't even see Thad Young at all tonight. Well, we saw him like 2 minutes tonight, I feel. They don't have that many creators, but the Celtics for most of tonight looked like a bad defensive team at times during the game. And so coming into this Raptors game, a team that dominated us in the paint, dominated us on the boards in their first matchup against us. If we come into this game if we come into the Sunday game against the Raptors playing like we did tonight, especially on the boards in the paint, it's going to be a bloodbath. So you have to get after. You have to come out physical, and you have to come out quick, especially now after these 2 results. We've said this all year. When have they ever started a game out hot? It just has not happened yet. I swear it's happened 2 or 3 times out of 20 games so far. We got to start early, got to go to the paint, got to be physical. That's what we have to do against the Raptors.
Yep, 100%. Oh man, it's just like it's kind of I don't know. It feels like I don't even want to talk about the Celtics after tonight, but I mean we are the Celtics Talk Weekly, so we do have to talk about them. But yeah, the Celtics need to 100% contain Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam. I don't think he played either game, or maybe he played the second game.
He played the second game, but I believe it was his first game back.
Yeah, so we're going to have him, we're going to have Scotty Barnes, and if we don't have Robert Williams in the lineup, our defense is not going to look very good. But, well, let's talk about our key matchup, and, we talked a little bit about it earlier, but Deante Murray, we like to have a player spotlight, but at the same time, I wouldn't give the player spotlight to really anybody on the Celtics tonight. But let's give it to Deante Murray. Why not? 29 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists for the Spurs. He looked like an absolute superstar tonight, and he looked like what we've been trying to see out of Jason Tatum all season. So what would you like to say about Deante Murray? He's our player spotlight.
Well, Dejounte Murray, he's a Celtics killer, and there's no doubt about it. Like I said, he had that game-sealing steal against us last year. Had a good game at the Garden during Jason Tatum's 60-point performance, 24-point performance for him as well. Now tonight, down the stretch, Dejounte Murray looked like the best player on the court, on both ends of the court. And this is one of those Dejounte Murray games where you look at it and go, this guy can be a really good player or a piece on a championship team somewhere, maybe as a 4th or 5th guy potentially, but he's now a young guy in San Antonio. Maybe he could take the reins further on down the line in San Antonio and actually become a star. It's not like he doesn't have the traits of potentially becoming a star. It just has to come together offensively for him, which I wouldn't be too confident in right now because he's in his 4th or 5th year already, and usually that comes earlier in someone's career. But Dejounte Murray was absolutely fantastic tonight. He does not get enough attention from the NBA community whatsoever, and something that probably goes unnoticed with Dejounte Murray as well. This dude is a dog. He was talking trash down the stretch. He was flexing towards our bench down the stretch. I mean, this guy, I love players like that, the players who bring emotion out within their game, and that is Dejounte Murray, and that is why, he dominated. I don't want to call the Celtics soft, but they can be on nights like this. A soft Celtics team, he dominated them down the stretch, and that's just the player he is.
Yeah, definitely. So there is one thing I want to talk about, and before we go along with the show, can we talk about that Keldon Johnson dunk on Grant Williams?
Yeah, and we can
Like
transition to
that
Grant Williams
was
too, because I have a strong statement on Grant after tonight. But
all
yeah,
right. So let's
let's
talk
go on
about the dunk
Kelvin.
first. Sadly we can't show any highlights because Rob got us taken down the one time we did try to show highlights. But if you watched it or if you haven't, it's probably trending on Twitter somewhere. But Keldon Johnson just absolutely wound up and just dunked all over Grant Williams tonight. And that was kind of the story of the game, really. And it kind of just felt like like that was just the physical embodiment of what this game was tonight.
Yep, it really felt like that one play. I mean, the Spurs made a ton of plays tonight, and credit to the Spurs too. Like we talk about how bad the Celtics were tonight. The Spurs, for the team they are, and the team, they're clearly a rebuilding team at this point. They just have a lot of random pieces, a lot of young pieces, a lot of veteran pieces that aren't even playing right now. And this Spurs team, they fight every single possession. They won more 50-50 balls than us tonight. They seem to be hustling the entire game. They move well offensively, move the ball well offensively too. And a lot of credit to Keldon Johnson as well. He's emerged on that team, and I loved him coming out of Kentucky. And you could just see he was one of those energy guys as well. I talk about Deante Murray. He's an energy guy as well for them, and that's why the Spurs, they're a bad team now. Now they're 5-13 after tonight, unfortunately, but they have the foundational pieces there and a culture there that they're going to build off of moving forward. That being said, the dunk came against our guy, Grant Williams. And I want to say this about Grant Williams, about the perception of him in Celtics Nation here. We need to stop looking at Grant Williams as this goofball personality, whatever. Like, that's his personality off the court. He's a fun guy, aka Kawhi there. He's a fun guy, and he's a great personality to be around off the court. But Grant Williams, excuse my language here, is a hard motherfucker on court, okay? He's a hard motherfucker. You can see it down in the fourth quarter, down the stretch there. He was a huge part of our comeback and a huge part of establishing that 7-point lead that should have won us the game. Now, he hit that three to put us in the lead, and then he had that tough bucket down on the next possession, in which I believe he flexed towards our bench. That motherfucker is hard, okay? This man brings it every single night. He's a physical player. I don't understand why when Kevin Garnett was in Boston, I'm not comparing Grant Williams to Kevin Garnett in their play whatsoever, but Kevin Garnett, he has that perception of this man is coming in, he's going to whoop our ass physically. Grant Williams is becoming that same player in the sense that he brings a physical presence to the table every single night. I don't know why people always look at Grant Williams like, oh, look at that dude running out there. He looks so dumb or whatever. Whatever people think about Grant Williams, which it seems to be negative all the time. This man is a hard motherfucker out there, okay? He's a physical player. He does his job well when he's asked to do it. I don't care how many points he scores, how many mistakes that he comes up with offensively. Now, his decision-making has improved over the last year, so I think that as well can be thrown out the window. This isn't a very fluent Grant Williams argument here, but Grant Williams should gain more respect from Celtics Nation because I think he deserves it at this point.
Yeah, I think he does. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, even before the season started, we saw Grant Williams as just this meme guy, as this guy who's not going to get any minutes this season because he's a goofball. He makes mistakes. He misses wide open layups, and I don't know, man. I mean, I'm really kind of, in a way, proud of Grant Williams. He's put in the work, and he's shown that he can be a legitimate NBA player. And it's nice to know that we have legitimate NBA players on this team because, I mean, I don't know, man. Tonight was a rough game for everyone all around, it felt like. And so I guess let's get into our over-unders here. We're getting into it a little early, but why not? we got time.
What can we say about this game? It was disappointing. The Celtics, they went down by 24, looked terrible on offense. didn't bring it defensively for most of the game, and then completely collapsed down the stretch. It's like that's just what it was against this bad Spurs team. What else do you want us to say night in and night out about this Celtics team who is now 10-10? We are back at 500, mates. Enjoy the 500. Stare at the 500 and enjoy it, because that's what we're gonna be forever. It feels like. Ooh, just had a crazy.
Yes, we will never escape the lore of 500 basketball. So
Never.
let's get into the over-unders here. Now, I mean, we did a pretty solid job tonight. The first one was Marcus Smart over-under 5.5 assists. He ended the night with 8 assists.
Yep.
So we both said over on that one. Both get a point on that one. That's cool. Second one, we said the bench over under 25 points. Let's see. Well, there's 5, 7.
There's no way.
5, 7.
I haven't come up with the number yet,
10,
but
17.
there's no way. There's no way.
They scored 23. They scored 23.
Whoa! 23 off the bench? Who was scoring? Wait a minute.
Jabari had 5.
Okay.
Grant
Jabari.
had 7. Neesmith had 7.
You're right. A lot of players.
Canner had 3, and Romeo had 3.
Yeah, I didn't factor
So we were close,
for the game.
but we both said under. So we both get a point
Yeah,
on that
still
one.
got it. But damn, that was pretty close.
I know, we were close.
Pretty low for a bench scoring.
Well, I mean, that's about as much as we expect out of the Celtics bench. And our final over-under was, who we were just, who Seamus just went on a giant rant about. Grant Williams, over-under 11 points. I had confidence he would hit it. I said over. Seamus said under. He hit 7. Seamus swept the night. Went 3 for 3. I went 2 for 3 for our over-unders tonight. So, that was fun.
Yeah.
Now, I think we alluded.
Tonight. This was like yesterday, Thanksgiving. I got all the spreads right. Somehow went 1 and 2 in the games. I don't know how'd that happen, but yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Nah, you're fine. But yeah, so I guess let's look ahead into the Celtics Raptors. We touched upon it a little bit. We're kind of replaying some points here. It's just like, what else do we say about this game? Oh man. But yeah, so Celtics Raptors, 6:00 on Sunday.
Are people even? No, I don't think people are even going to be paying attention to us on Sunday, because the Patriots play the Titans at 1:00. We're on at what, 4:30 here? Or sorry, what are we on? Are we on at 3:30 on this broadcast here? If so, I don't know. I'm getting the times mixed up. I'm in the Central Time Zone. Starts at noon here. Football starts at noon here. Game starts at 5. Starts at 4:30. Converted to East. I don't know. 1 hour behind everything. But yeah, so everybody's going to be paying attention to either a terrible Patriots loss or a Patriots win that potentially puts them at the number 1 seed. They're going to be watching all the post-game stuff. And, oh, wow, Ian's now small here under me.
Oh, sorry.
Celtics, this is a bad – the Celtics, can we get it rolling here? We need more than a 10-10 record here. That's what we're working with here. We're doing this every night. More than a 10-10 record. Celtics still have a chance to go over 500. We're a better team than the Raptors. But tonight's game is really just a trend that we've seen forever. And I think what you're seeing right now is just the consistent.
The consistency of the inconsistent play the Celtics play with.
That's how you put it. It's just so consistent with the team that they play well for a really, really brief stretch, and then it's all downhill. It's snowballing. This was the snowball game, and I don't know. But this team just drives me crazy sometimes. It's been a year, and it seems like it's been a year and a half. It's only been a year, but this team drives me crazy in the sense that they just cannot get it rolling. They cannot consistently go over 500 and stay there. Let's see. Go Celtics, because we still have 60 more games left. Hopefully we don't go 30-30.
I mean,
but man,
I don't know, Seamus. Well, we forgot to say this in the pregame show, but do you guarantee a Celtics win?
I'm glad you didn't take that in the pregame show. I probably would have been like, sure, yeah, of course I guarantee it. Spurs team, but not on film. Didn't guarantee it. So no guarantee tonight. Not salvaging the record. I'm 5-2 right now. I'm 3 games over 500. I'm not making the same mistake as the Celtics.
Better record than the Celtics.
You're right. I'm only guaranteeing when it feels correct. It feels like
so does Sunday feel correct because you've guaranteed the last 2 Raptors games?
Well, no. I only guaranteed the November 10th one. Okay, I don't think I guaranteed this one.
I think you guaranteed the first one though. You guaranteed the home opener, and then guaranteed
the last 2. No, yeah, you're right. The home opener I guaranteed totally got burned on. We lost by 32. How was I supposed to know we were going to lose by that much during our home opener? And then November 10th came around, beat the Raptors in handily fashion, and we got Lucky got his get back. It's fine. So Raptors on Sunday, not making any guarantees because now after this game tonight, maybe I would have made a guarantee if we came out with the win and in the fashion we expected. However, tonight's game, just all the confidence out the window. All of a sudden, we'll see what happens. It's just a continuous game of we'll see what happens with this team. It's just maddening.
It's so crazy.
I'm trying to
it's like I just feel like it just feels like craziness. Like it's just like this is a great quote that I basically, I kind of live by this quote. You do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. That's the definition of insanity. And the Celtics are just the epitome, the physical embodiment of insanity because they do the same things over and over again all season long. And it's mind-boggling. And it's just like, what else do we say about this team? This is the point of the season where we all thought, we're going to know what this team is going to be. This team is different than last season. We have bench depth. We have MVP Tatum. We have Jaylen Brown, who's an all-star. We got Dennis Schroeder on a cheap contract. We got Josh Richardson in a trade. We got a bench. We got guys that are playing better. We have Al Horford back. We got Robert Williams. Like, I don't know what else to say. It's like,
I want to see the whole team healthy. Like, I still don't think this is our team, but like, we should win these games still without the injuries. And I understand Brown's not 100% and he was still out there, but I mean, these are games you have to win even with injuries. And it's maddening to see that this team is now at 10-10 after being we were 2 games over 500, had a chance for 3 against Brooklyn. That was sort of a winnable game. Get smacked in that game, then come out, get smacked early tonight, come back, and then get smacked to end the game. I mean, I'm glad that there's 60 games left, but maybe at the end of the year it might be one of those things where I'm not glad, or I shouldn't have been glad that there's 60 games left, because this is either going to go, okay, there's 60 games left. We have time to rebound and come back from this now 10-10 record here. 2018-19 team had a 10-8 record, went on an 8-game winning streak. It was at 18-10 after that, but then they kind of faltered, but they still finished the season 49 wins, sort of respectable. This thing is salvageable. That being said, maybe I shouldn't have been glad there's 60 games left. We could easily go 30-30 and just have the same conversations for the next 60 games, which I'm sure would drive us even more mad than we are right now after, we went through 72 games of this last year. Now we're 20 games in here. I still want to see this team healthy. I still have optimism moving forward, but it's just so hard to see this all the time. It just is for any fan. 500 is low-key worse than tanking, because at least tanking teams know we're going to be bad night in and night out. We're just looking at these young guys. We're going to be bad, whatever. We're competing. We are not competing. We're not at the upper echelon, but we're not a lottery team. We're somewhere in the middle, and that's a maddening place to be. It just is.
It's literally the worst place to be in any major sports team. Like, the worst thing to do, the worst thing to be for any major sports team is to be stuck in a void where you're a 500 team, you have immense talent, you have the potential to be a top 3 team in the league. But for one reason or another, the team is just consistently at 500 and can never get over the hump more than 2 or 3 games at a time. I mean, your example is the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, they can't get over, they can't go over 500 too much and they can't go under 500 too much, but it's just like they're stuck in a void. The Celtics are basically just like stuck in NBA purgatory because, at least if you're tanking, you have the potential to get a good pick in the draft. And, you can pick a guy like Chet Holmgren or, other guys that are good in college. I'm sorry, I really don't follow college basketball like that. But,
We're too busy watching the Celtics blow leads to the Spurs and whatnot. I too busy watching the Celtics like struggle.
In reality, though, in reality, though, I wonder how many people actually watched this game outside of the dunk
area of these games.
Exactly, outside of San Antonio and Boston, who looked at that on the schedule and said, "Yes, I'm dedicating my Friday night to watching the Celtics and the Spurs."
96-88 game. Not only was it a bad matchup, but 96-88.
Absolutely.
You see 2 double-digit quarters from each team as well. Dang.
Yeah.
Watching double-digit, quarters in the teens, so 14 points for the Celtics in the first quarter, 18 for the Spurs in the third. Oh my! This was a bad game all around. We should have touched on this more a little bit. This game was bad because the Spurs, I give them credit, but it's not like they were overwhelmingly good either in this game. The Celtics were terrible, and the Spurs were good enough to win. They weren't amazing tonight, but they were good enough to win, and that's what made this game so bad. Just for our viewing perspective, our team lost, had a 24-point lead, a blown 7-point lead with 3 minutes to go in the game, and the game, just looking at it from a product of basketball, Celtics fans just had the worst time tonight, I swear. Sorry, go ahead, Ian, now. Man, I just had to get that out. This was a terrible game. This was a terrible game all around.
No, you see, that's the best part about these post-game shows is that we can just use it as therapy at this point. We can just yell all of our problems into the void for about 45 minutes and talk about all of our issues with the Celtics. And then we turn it off and we think, oh, they'll get it next game. We'll be okay. But I don't know, man. It's just, we haven't talked about this yet on the post-game show, and I'm surprised we haven't. But what is wrong with Jason Tatum? I know that's kind of a broad topic, but it feels like all of the intensity that he had last season and all of the strides he made last season to look like a top MVP candidate, it just feels like it's gone. And I know it's only 20 games into the season and other NBA stars are kind of struggling at the same time, but what is the problem with Tatum and why can't he be what he was, back last season?
Tatum, I think tonight it's really in the decision making on his part, because I thought tonight he was still fairly okay, although 2 of 7 from 3, 9 of 23 from the floor, and I thought he missed a couple of easy ones that he should have made around the rim. Finished with 24 points and 12 rebounds. I thought he did have some intensity down the stretch, but I think what the main thing is, both for Tatum and even Brown to some extent, that stretch in the game in the fourth quarter. Now, I know we say we need to diversify the offense and whatnot, but they need to be able to take over that stretch on their own, because at the end of the game, it was Schroeder turning the ball over. It was Marcus Smart turning the ball over. A couple of actions were ran for Al Horford. It's why are we not having Tatum and Brown a little bit more involved down the stretch than they were? I understand the whole, we want to diversify the offense and expand the offense, and we want Marcus Smart to be a playmaker in the offense, which he has become over the last, since the Chicago game, so over the last 3 weeks. But I want to see these guys, Tatum and Brown, take over a game. They haven't really done that yet, the two of them, other than maybe you say the Charlotte game a little bit. other than that, they really haven't taken over games. And Brown, I swear, he does not look healthy out there. Brown, 16 points tonight, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He was 3 of 7 from 3, 6 of 16 from the field. That just seems to be his mark, 6 of 16. I feel like he shot that number 3 or 4 times this year. All right, there goes Ian. But we're still alive.
Sorry.
Jaylen Brown. Nope, there goes Ian's back. But these guys, I'm already long-winded, so I'm just going to keep going here. I think it's really I have hope for them, and these two are great players, and you see them and their greatness sometimes come out, but you want to see it every single night, right? You want to see it every single night, and that's somehow what we continue not to see is these two continue to be on at the same time or be on every single night. Like Tatum, he had that stretch of 4 30-plus point games, and then he comes in to the Nets game, shoots terribly, comes in tonight, shoots terribly. You don't want him to have stretches like this. You don't want him to have 4 30-plus point games in a row and then give you 15 and then a 24-point game in which he didn't really shoot that well and wasn't that great down the stretch. I just want to see more consistency out of these guys, and I'm sure they would like to see more consistency out of themselves too. I think it's really just I don't think it's like an effort thing at this point. You know, earlier we said, like, okay, these guys and their effort, like, what is their effort level at on both ends of the floor? But now I feel like it's more of making shots and taking over when it matters and making the correct decisions on every single possession. And also, you probably look at the coaching staff too. When are the moments they're involved? And Ja Morant, great news here. Left knee sprain for Ja Morant. Whoever's watching this, there's serious fear that he might have torn something in his knee. Left knee sprain. So we're good on Ja Morant this season. But yeah, anyway, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, too, as well. We've talked about them all year. I don't know. We're not on script anymore. This is just straight therapy, everyone. We're just going back and forth, giving whatever.
Yeah, because at this point, it's just like there's really not much to say anymore. Like, you know, we thought 20 games into the season we would have our answer about what the team was going to be. And, you know, Rob has been stressing that all season long. You know, he's been keeping the faith all season long. And now I feel like I'm personally more of a little bit of a pessimist when it comes to watching sports. But at the same time, like, it's easy to look at trends with the way this team has gone over the last couple years. And it just feels like, and like, I mean, I don't know if this really has anything to do with it, but I don't know if you saw what like the anonymous Eastern Conference coach said about Jason Tatum, and he said Tatum doesn't look like he wants to win, right? He doesn't want to win unless it's on his terms. But like, I don't know. I don't want to believe in any of that stuff, but at the same time, it's kind of hard not to sometimes. It just looks like, I don't know, it just looks like I just don't know what's holding them back is my problem. Like, do we need another shooter off the bench? Like, do we need to get a guy that's like a JJ Redick type guy that can just stand in the corner, play defense, and shoot? Like, I feel like we have Aaron Nesmith and Romeo Langford. Like, do we need to trade him for a guy like Danny Green or a guy like Seth Curry or a guy like, I don't know, maybe CJ McCollum? I don't think we're going to trade those two and get CJ McCollum. But at the same time, it's just like, what is the answer that the Celtics need to do? It's just, I don't know. It's just like, how many times have we said, oh, if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are both healthy and they're both on and Robert Williams is healthy and, you know, everyone is there, you know, we're going to be top 3 team in the East. But like, after tonight, I think we're back to the play-in. Well,
we were down to 10 coming into tonight. Excuse me.
Yeah, so we're still in 10th place.
Okay, so we didn't drop below the Cavs yet.
Yeah, but now the 76ers, who have had 6 people in the last few games, are above us. The Knicks are above us. The Hawks are above us. The Bucks are above us, you know. Hornets, Wizards, Heat, Bulls, Nets, you know. Like, I mean, we're better than some of those teams, right? Like,
I feel like we're Sixers, We're better than the Sixers. I think we're better than the Knicks as well. I would not go further right now. I would
Right
not go
now,
further.
yeah, we're not. We're still a play-in team at this point.
I think we're better than the Knicks and 76ers, but I would not go further. I failed to see how we're better than the Hawks after last week's performance in Atlanta. The Bucks are a really tough team. We barely beat them without Giannis. I want to see us play them with Giannis, obviously, before we really get a good sense. The Hornets, are they ever going to drop? I don't think it's going to happen. I had them at the 5 seed coming into the season. That's where they're sitting right now. They've been sitting there, it feels like, for the past week. I don't see them dropping too terribly down. The Wizards were already 0-2 against. They're at the 4 seed. The Heat, the Bulls. We know we can compete with all these teams, but are we better in the long run? I would not go above the Nets, the Bulls, the Heat, the Wizards, the Hornets, the Bucks, and the Hawks right now. I wouldn't. I think we're competitive and we can be better than those teams in the long run, but right now I don't see it. I think I just contradicted myself a little bit. I said well, I think we'll be better in the long run. No, I think we can compete with these teams in the long run is what I meant, but I don't see how we're better right now.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know. It's kind of crazy that we went from thinking, oh, this team can maybe legitimately be, legit in the East this year, to we don't even know if we're better than a play-in at this point.
It was these last
now
two
I
losses.
know.
It was perfect storm of just we got whooped by the best team in the NBA right now, or one of the best teams, one of the 3, 4, 5 best teams, and then we lose a game to one of the 5 worst teams.
I mean, yeah, it's just like
500.
I don't know. It's so weird. I don't know. It's just like, what do we say? What else? What else do we possibly have to say that can be legitimate commentary about this Celtics?
Like we've gone completely off the rails on this team. Like, I want to make this clear. We still have optimism for this.
Oh yeah, we are still fans of the Celtics. We're not never going to be fans of the Celtics. We're not going to go up and change the name of the thing to, the Oklahoma City Talk Weekly. It's just like we're trying to think of this in like, I don't know, we're trying to think of it in a realistic standpoint, and trying to determine where this team is going to be at the end of the season is basically impossible at this point, because it just feels like we're going to be a 500 team for the rest of the year. Also, yeah. I mean, we cover the Celtics every single day, so our reactions, I mean, we're basically going to be a reactionary type channel, it feels like. We can only take what we've seen in the past and react on it by covering it every day. So it's just like, I don't know. It's just like we don't really know where this team is going to go, it feels like.
Not at all. Right now, after 2 of these games, this is a 2-game stretch where now I say Sunday. I said, well, maybe if we won tonight, I might guarantee Sunday. I have no idea what's going to happen Sunday. Are we going to get whooped again? Is this going to be a 3-game losing streak and be like, ooh, that was a flat spot for our team? Or are we going to come out with a little bit more fire against an in-division opponent now? Obviously the Spurs are not in division and they're a worse team, and the Nets are, but I mean, come on. I have no idea where we're going right now. I thought about this earlier. I'm like, we're not going to be sitting through another 500 year, right? Where we're like 4 games over 500. We're like, yeah, we're feeling pretty good. And then all of a sudden you're like, bam, 5-game losing streak, back under 500. There you go. We're not going to have another one of those seasons. And I could totally see a scenario in which we're looking back at this season, and that could be what this season turns out to be, just another year where we're just going 2 steps forward and going 3 steps back, and then going 4 steps forward, and then 2 steps, 3 steps back, and then you're like, can we just move? Can we keep moving forward? Can we keep moving forward? I just want to see this team move forward. We haven't seen this team move consistently forward since Raptors series,
the 16-game winning streak.
No, I think it was the last time we consistently moved forward.
Was when we beat the Raptors in the playoffs. In the bubble.
Probably the bubble. No, not even that series, because we had a 2-0 lead, and then it was
OG Anunoby.
It was 2-2, and then it was 3-2, and then we had to go to a game 7. So that was the spark. The Raptors series where we were all like, "Ooh, this was a great series, and we won in 7." That was just the spark to the most inconsistent period of Celtics basketball I've witnessed in years now. It has to be the 2015-16 season, probably. Last time we saw this much inconsistency, or 2014-15, one of those two seasons. It's been nearly half a decade. Well, I should say before last season, obviously. But
yeah,
Celtics lose to the Spurs by 8, and they only scored 88.
I don't know. Do we call it the curse of Isaiah Thomas? Because ever since we traded him, we've been...
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in it. I would not be surprised if I'm like 95 and I'm like, yeah, I've never seen the Celtics win another title after 08. I never saw it because we traded Isaiah Thomas after he gave us everything. How can you not somewhat believe in an Isaiah Thomas curse at this point? Everything since IT has gone completely wrong. Everything. Like, I cannot really think of one thing that really went our way, like in the long run. Even in the short stints of success, even in the short stints, the 17-18 playoff run, the 19-20 playoff run. What was it met with? Heartbreak. It was met with heartbreak, both places, and it didn't work out in the long run. The 17-18 team didn't work out the next year. The 19-20 team didn't work out the next year. Maybe we go on a playoff run this year, and then next year is another year of hell. I don't know. But the Isaiah Thomas curse, someone's got to write a book about it eventually. Maybe 50 years from now, 60, 70, I don't know.
Don't worry, you'll be the one to write the book. Especially if we don't win a title from now until like 2040, then you can write the book on the curse of Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, man, it's going to happen. It might already be happening. I'm a firm believer. I don't know.
I mean, you might as well start now. I mean,
start documenting history now.
I know, and by the time we're in our 40s, the Celtics are still gonna be a 500 team, and we're still gonna be talking about.
This could also be a segment though, where maybe later in the season we're like, oh. Like what if the Warriors somehow fall off, and then all of a sudden Chris Paul gets hurt and the Suns aren't good, and then like James Harden tears his hamstring again, or Kevin Durant does something, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here come the Celtics. Like that could totally happen. It's kind of what happened.
I don't know. At this point, I'd take a Mickey Mouse ring. Then I don't know. Yeah, I don't even care because they'd call it like another injury ring, like the Bucks did, but like I don't know if we somehow back into the playoffs and play the 10th seeds Thunder in the finals, and
we set what we call double standards here because we could easily say like, okay, that was an injury ring, whatever, but we're gonna accept it all day. That being said, if it's another team, we're gonna attack them for it all day. It's fine. Like the Lakers,
for sure.
The Lakers, come on, you had a 4-month break, you had to play 8 games, and then you played a tournament in front of no fans, and you're gonna say, "Hey, look,
they win the bubble bowl."
Like, I guess under circumstance, great, you were the champions, but it wasn't a normal run whatsoever. And whatever.
Although if the Celtics won that, if the Celtics won that finals, we would have said the Celtics were amazing and they 100% deserved it, and it was not a bubble ring at all.
Yeah, it was actually more hard. It was more hard than a real ring. You did it under a pandemic. Just mocking Laker fans now.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I mean, we've been here for almost 55 minutes talking about this stuff, and I don't know, Seamus, you got any final thoughts, or maybe we can drag this out to a solid hour.
Let's see. Yeah, Ohio State right here. Saturday tomorrow. Ohio State, Michigan. Beat Mich again. Right here.
Beat Michigan.
Tomorrow. I don't go to Ohio State, but I love Ohio State football. So go Bucks. Beat the team up north.
Well, I mean, I know this isn't the Celtics, but maybe we could talk a little bit about the Patriots. I mean, yeah, AJ Brown's not playing.
Julio Jones not playing. No Derrick Henry. Sunday, obviously. Patriots, they get this win. They're 8-4. I'm getting pretty giddy about the Patriots. I'm looking forward to these Bills matchups, though, because that will decide the division. And we all know we haven't really been in this spot in a long time. Last year, we were not even close to the top of the division. And years prior, no one was ever close to us at the top of the division. So now, probably the most entertaining little run here, this race here at the end of the NFL season. Bills, Pats, I think they're both going to make the playoffs. It's just a question of whether or not who's going to win the division. And AFC East is now interesting again, despite having two shit teams at the bottom, the Jets and the Dolphins.
Yeah, the Bills smacked the Saints on Thursday Night Football, so that was pretty interesting.
Yep.
I don't know. How was your Thanksgiving, Seamus? I don't think we started the pregame show with that.
It was great. I mean, the Cowboys-Raiders game was amazing yesterday. I mean, I feel like I didn't pay attention to anything Celtics-related whatsoever, and that was great. We just didn't have to deal with 500 basketball for a day. It was great.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I don't know. This is a Thanksgiving debate. Is turkey overrated and is ham better?
Okay, I will go no and no. I don't think – well, actually, I would say yes and no on both of those. Turkey is completely overrated. I don't understand the whole hoopla behind turkey whatsoever. I think it's just it's low-key the worst item on the dinner plate at Thanksgiving. Like, I that's just my personal opinion. Like, the sides are just what it is. But is ham better? I'm not willing to go that far.
I'm saying I would personally take ham over turkey when it comes to leftovers, because a ham sandwich, I mean, I could honestly go for a ham sandwich, maybe a little bit over a turkey sandwich, just depending on the leftover. Because if the turkey isn't cooked right originally and it's just dry, then, like, you know, it's really like no point in making, you know, leftovers with it, like sandwiches and stuff. But if you got ham, see, I'm a big ham guy. But, like, I'll eat turkey at Thanksgiving because where I go, it's my aunt, and she makes, like, this huge Thanksgiving spread. So, shout out to my Aunt Pauline, who is an amazing cook on Thanksgiving. She carries Thanksgiving every single year, so had to give a shout out to her.
Yes, and shout out to my grandma Joanna, too. She's the complete general, admiral, whatever you want to say, the coordinator of Thanksgiving. Without her, we wouldn't have Thanksgiving the same way. The Zarlingo family would not have Thanksgiving the same way without her. So thank you, Grandma, on this project.
Exactly. Thank you to my Aunt Pauline. I know she got really excited when she went into one of my streams on Instagram one time, and I said hi to her, and she got really excited over it because that's what we talked about on Thanksgiving. And so I thought I can give her another shout out on this platform here. So thank you again for the Thanksgiving. Any final thoughts about the Celtics as we, milk that final 5 minutes out to an hour?
Nope. I just want to see us win on Sunday and move forward after that. Big game against the Sixers coming up this week. I want us to be fresh for that game. Sunday night, we got to get a win at 6 o'clock Eastern. We have to get a win against the Raptors to go into this Sixers game with some momentum. This is a big week coming up. A lot of games on the road. West Coast road trip. We got to get right before we go out west. If we go out west out of sorts and come back mangled, it could be a long season, not going to lie.
Definitely for sure. So that was it, everybody. Thank you all for watching. Click like if you like the video. Click subscribe if you really like it. Tell all your friends. The Celtics are still at 500, and but we do appreciate you guys staying on here for an hour, watching us rant and ramble about the Celtics and really how bad they're at 500. So next pregame show at 5 o'clock on Sunday. Hopefully the Pats game ends before it. It should, but Celtics Talk Weekly pregame show at 5 o'clock. Celtics play the Raptors on Sunday at 6 o'clock. Or no, is our stream? Our stream's gonna be at 5:30. Sorry,
We just have no idea
Messing.
about these times. We're just.
You know what? Well, maybe it'll just be me and Seamus again. Maybe Rob and Justin will be here. Just like from 5. All right. 5:30. Celtics Talk Weekly. Celtics Talk Weekly pregame show. Celtics play the Raptors at 6. We will take you guys up to tip off. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for watching our hour-long rant on the Celtics. Follow us on social media. Celtics Talk Weekly on Instagram and TikTok. Celtics_weekly on Twitter. We have the Celtics Talk Weekly podcast, when we find time to do it, on Spotify and Apple Podcast. So thank you again for watching. That's Seamus. I'm Ian. Shout out to Rob and Justin who couldn't be here tonight. And go Celtics.